Hey, Steve.
It's the Cool Bible Guy!
What's up, guys? I'm Steve, the Cool Bible Guy. Today we are going to be talking about Luke chapter 6, verse 35. So let's get into this one. As always, before we get into it, anytime we do a Bible hangout like this, I want you guys to post in the comments or a thing that you have some kind of intention, because a person who aims at nothing hits it with amazing accuracy. So let's be intentional and on purpose with our Bible session today. Let's get into the verse. Luke 6:35. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. In this verse, Jesus encourages His followers to love their enemies and to do good to them and to lend without expecting repayment. The underlying message is one of selfless love and generosity, reflecting the character of God, who is described to be basically being kind to those people who are ungrateful and wicked, which is a hard thing to do. The idea is basically to go beyond the conventional expectations and show a love that transcends the normal boundaries. Like, this would be essentially mirroring the divine and matching up with, unconditional and all-encompassing love that God has for somebody. So, like I was just saying, this is very hard to do. For me, my initial reaction, like if somebody is a jerk to me, be like, yeah, why don't you shut the hell up?
Shut up, Alan.
Screw off. I don't want to get the hell away from me. I don't want you anywhere near me. Get away. So in this verse, when you read this verse, basically what you're seeing is like when you have people who are prickly people who basically razor sharp, and anytime you get close to them, you're going to get cut. Like, you don't want to lean into people like that. Nobody wants to, because nobody wants to get cut up. And what God is basically saying in this verse is like, hey, look, you got to love your enemies. You got to do good to them. Even when they're sharp, prickly, knife-wielding jerk-offs, you still got to lean into them and be nice to them and be respectful of them. And that's a hard thing to do, because like I said, nobody wants to get sliced up like that. So you would be essentially mirroring the divine, and it's a enormous monumental task, because I'll be honest with you guys, like, I'm not built that way. I'm usually just I'm certainly not someone who has a fiery temper. I have a tremendous amount of patience, and I can walk away from a pretty hostile conflict situation. But what I can't do, I really struggle with leaning into that. Like, if somebody tells me like, F you, and is just completely disrespectful and bashing on me for no reason, it's like, oh, like, I'm not going to lean into that. I'm just not leaning into that. That's something I don't do. This is something I would have to ask God and be like, yo, man, what the hell do you want me to do in this?
What do you want me to do? You don't want me?
This guy's being a complete douchebag right now. What do you want me to do? Like, how would you handle this, man? When I talk with God, that's the stuff I ask him, because I want to know, like, what the hell would you do in this situation? Because I sure as hell don't know what to do. Guide me, man. Walk me through this. Help me be a better person. That's kind of what one of my prayers sounds like. So, like, that's my relationship with God. So however you guys want to ask him, I would ask God the same situation. How do you give me the patience, the tolerance for leaning into someone like that?
Sometimes patience is the key to victory.
To get back to the verse a little bit, it does kind of emphasize some other things too. Like, it emphasizes the importance of mercy, forgiveness, treating others with kindness, irrespective of their attitudes or actions towards us. And it encourages believers like you and me to reflect in the gracious, merciful nature of God in their own lives, and as well as our own. We've kind of already talked about this a little bit, about how we can apply this in our own life. The first one being love your enemies. Like, leaning into our enemies is probably one of the hardest things to do. However, I will say, there have been quite a number of enemies I had when I was in grade school and high school, and it turns out, like, when you do lean into them and just showed some respect, I actually got some respect back, and they actually just became pretty fruitful relationships. And that's really hard to do, because I have an ego and I had pride, and I don't want to let that stuff go. And when you do let it go, some pretty cool things start to happen. So I have seen it firsthand, and despite seeing it firsthand, I still have a hard time with it. So that just goes to show you how hard it actually is. So I am not minimizing how hard it is to love your enemies. The second thing is do good to others. Outside of loving your enemies, doing good to others, like actually seeking to go out. Like, obviously, I'm not talking about responding, but like just actually seeking out how to do something nice. Like today, there was an older couple, they had to be in their 80s or something, and they couldn't get their trunk of their door closed because it was so frozen out. The latch wasn't connecting with the hook underneath. For me, I just saw it, and they asked me to come over, and I said, you know what? Yeah, sure, absolutely, I can help you. And, just go out and do those little things, man. Like doing something for someone else without thinking it. My wife is actually in corporate America, and everything about corporate America is really difficult for me to grasp. Everybody talks to each other and networks with each other, all for some kind of gain. They're not, like, it's very rare, from watching my wife's experience over the last 10 years in corporate America. I've been to some of her company parties versus some of my own parties where, I grew up in a sales environment where you get paid what you sell. If you don't sell anything, you don't make anything. It doesn't matter. If you don't sell, you don't make money. That's the end of it. So like there's no politics, which is the greatest thing in the world for me. So when I go to my wife's parties and stuff, I don't understand all of that. What this verse talks about, lend without expecting repayment, like it's an interesting dynamic to navigate when there are other people who only want you for certain things, and you have to like try to give genuinely with it, knowing that they have a disingenuous intention. So like for me, I'm not a coffee drinker. My wife loves coffee. So
This is the best drip coffee I think I have ever dripped anywhere.
I go to buy some from the local coffee shops. I'll go buy a bag of coffee and I'll get it ground up for her. But what some of the coffee shops is, they give you a free cup of coffee at the store when you buy a full bag. Now for me, I don't care for the coffee. I don't want the free coffee because I'm not going to drink it anyway. So, and if my wife's not with me, what am I going to do with this thing? So I will actually turn around to the guy behind me in line, whoever's behind me in line, and I'll just ask the person and say, hey, what do you want? I don't drink coffee. Would you like it?
Would you like the horn?
No, coach.
Here, have a coffee. It's free. Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy this one.
And that's the type of giving we're talking about, like give with no expectation of return. When you truly give to somebody and you just know that there's nothing coming back, and it's like, you know, it's really nice. It's just like a really cool feeling to give to somebody and not ever have to expect anything in return. It's just like cool. Like I made that person's day and I feel good about it. I don't care if they give me anything back, whatever. They don't need to do anything for me. I just want to make their day. And that's a really cool mindset to be in, and it's a really cool, fulfilling feeling that will make you feel very happy overall.
Yes, I'm the man.
Seek reconciliation. You want to strive to reconcile with those you have had past conflicts with, obviously assuming it's safe and appropriate to do so. Obviously, if somebody tried to kill you and they are this murderous criminal, probably not, you know. But if there's anything outside of like someone trying to harm you, there's conflicts, try to apologize and forgive those people. Maybe there's a relationship in your life that you like to have back in your life. And, you know, giving that person a call and talking to them might not be a bad idea. Who knows? Maybe they're thinking about you too. So give it a shot. Seek that reconciliation. Put it this way, if they're not in your life now and it blows up in your face and they don't want to be in your life anymore, well, then you're back where you started. You didn't lose anything. And then you just keep going and, you know, try again. Number 5, practice unconditional love. Basically, don't be judgmental. Avoid judgment, avoid criticism, focus on building positive relationships. I know that's not easy because the first thing we do is we judge the living crap out of everybody we see. The instant we see them, just withhold judgment. Just don't make a judgment. Just be like, let's see what this person's about. Like, ask yourself that question first. Then go into the conversation. Don't make any prior judgments and just see how it goes. That your initial judgment was true, who knows? Maybe someone will surprise you. Cultivate a grateful heart. Being grateful, I think, is the most important characteristic that a person can have, in my opinion, because when you're grateful for people or grateful for anything, you get more of it. Gratitude is great attitude, which I think is a great quote. The people who have a ton of gratitude in their life usually do have great attitude. It has actually been scientifically proven in the psychological community that gratitude and cynicism cannot exist in the human brain at the same time. You cannot have both of those emotions simultaneous. It's like oil and water in your brain. You can't have them both. So if you're tired of being a cynical, negative, pessimistic piece of crap, then start showing more gratitude, and then you won't be.
You should be thankful.
Let's just end with a prayer. God, help me to keep a level head in difficult situations. Help me to exercise patience in frustrating situations and instill in me a high level of tolerance and understanding of others so that I may not improperly judge someone who may be going through a tough time. Guide me in replicating your love and grace to the best of my ability. Amen.